Hello there guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to record a series of tutorials and showcasing, demonstrating how can you bring your character here once you've done all the animations and the rig inside Maya. So I'm going to go step by step guiding how to import the rig, how to import each of the animations, and how to start putting everything together in Unreal. So when you hit the button play, it will be your character that start walking around and doing all the animation, playing all the animation instead of the third-person model that we have here at the moment. So this is what we're going to do. So first I'm going to show you is how to import the rig and the animation. So I already covered this in class, but I'm going to do it so we can do it from the Unreal Engine 4 perspective. So you will have one series of tutorials that cover just that in particular. So what I done, and I'm gonna let me open it here, so I'll put it back to the window there. What I have is, let me open the files and I'll move it back to there in a second. So I got yeah, so pretty much what I have here is the project that you have here, and you can see here in the background in Unreal. But what I've done extra, and I showed to you in class, is that I create an extra folder called source where I put all my stuff in there. I normally do as well when I'm doing things like modeling and things like environment, the same principle. But here you can see that I have a series of files. I have the rig, and that's the rig that you import from the final stage publish file that you create in Maya. That is scene that you create, that you publish. That's the one that you should have referencing in a new Maya scene and then start animating. That's the one I did here. I exported that by selecting the rig and by selecting the geometry and selecting the actual join hierarchy, and then export it. The other ones I have the final, which is the walk final, run cycle, and the idle, and I have as well the animation of the jump broken down in the start, the end, and the loop. Okay, so these are the files that you need to start importing here in Unreal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a right click here, and I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this, everything that I do, I'm going to call it my character. So you know exactly the prefix that is going to actually reference to, or it's going to indicate that you are actually working on this character. So I'm going to go in here, just to keep things clean. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to import the actual rig first. So I'm going to click here, character animation rig. It's an FBX that I exported. It's going to come out with some options in here, and the options are pretty much as this. So we know that we're importing a rig, so this will automatically Unreal Engine 4 is smart enough to work out that actually you're going to import as a rig, something that has a skin cluster. So that's why a skeletal mesh inside Unreal is called just the meshes or the joints that you have in mind. It's called a skeletal mesh. Here, import mesh is the actual mesh that we bound to the geometry. So if you'd have selected both things like we did in class, then you should have just come out with this just as it is now. So the thing that we're going to import is geometry and skin weights, or you can export geometry only or skin weights only. We're just going to put just the geometry and skin weights. Skeleton, we are not going to select the skeleton because at the moment it says that, okay, if you have another skeleton, you can actually import an image, you can assign it to the skeleton. But the skeleton has a different naming convention, so it will not work 100%, but you can actually sort of map information from one skeleton to another. So there are tools inside Unreal you can actually do that, but that's a bit more advanced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the skeleton mesh, the import mesh tick. This is as it is. Here you can add more things. I think because the geometry that we have in Maya is already being smooth, so you should tell in here to just import the normals and tangents as they are. And normally that's something you do as well when you're doing environments. This is grayed out because by default that's what it is. So you can create a physical asset, which is the one that we're gonna create. You can uncheck this, you can create one later on, but for now this is already, so you import and create one for you. We're gonna go through that as well later on, what is that physical asset is and what is that for and what it's used inside the project. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to animation. You don't have any animation, so don't take import animation because you won't have. If you take this, it might bring an extra animation, but that will be just as a T-pose because there's nothing in it. So transform all these things, get as usual. Convert the space, that's ticked by default, which means that you're gonna convert from the y-axis up as it is in Maya into the z-axis up as it is in Unreal. So I'm going to hit import, and that should bring a series of things in there. So at the moment, it gives me a sort of It's not referencing hierarchy. No geometry mesh. I don't know these things. I don't know why this command had these errors before, but I don't think that should be a problem. That should work. I'm going to create here, just to clean things up, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this material, and then I'm just going to select all these ones, and then just going to drag them into here. So we're going to move them into there, and then here we'll have the as it is, we got the rig. If you double click on this, it will come up with this UI, which is the persona system inside Unreal, and which automatically links to those assets that you have there. You got the skeleton. You might not see it here, but you can see all the hierarchy in here as it is. It doesn't appear in the viewport. If you want to show in the viewport, you can just go into show, I think it is, or into character, bounds, and just you only show the one you can select. You see, if you select something, it shows it, but you can actually make and show all of them in one go. So you can say all hierarchy, and it's all automatically shown for you there. Okay, so that's what we imported as it is from Maya. So we got this. You can see the skeleton, the mesh. It's just the mesh. It's just sort of interchangeable in the same. The only thing that changes the UI is you can actually manipulate the UI here, and here you can have things like the materials and all the level of detail. You can actually, that's what we're going to do the cloth from as well. And physics automatically bring this, which is the physics asset. Now, the physics asset is something that is automatically generated by Unreal, and it does the best it can with the shape, but 99% of the time this one is not something that is workable, because you can see that this collision is too big. So those little blue things that you find here are called the rigid body collision geometry. And what they basically do is create like sort of like a low-res version of, or a very highly optimized version of the geometry, or the volumes that go within every single one of the joint, the distance between. So it creates something in there for you when you are manipulating real-time collision. Then they got something to collide with. So if you play this simulator, you can see that it's simulating, and it's sort of, you can see that this box here was automatically created to sort of compensate for the volume of the cape. But like I said, this is something that is automatic. So you 9 out of 10 you will not be able to use this. You have to create your own. So you press, I think if you right click or press, I think, I can't remember how to, I think you press shift click, or I think it's shift middle click, and you can just actually make it, or just select it here and middle click. I can't remember how to do it. I'll find in the next tutorial, in the next video I'll showcase. But it's pretty much, you can actually as well select one and tell them click here to just simulate the selected one, and you can see that that one is being simulated. And if you select the cape as well, you can simulate that, and it's actually just simulating the cape as it is, and then it's ignoring the other ones. That's how you do like things like ragdoll effects and stuff like that. So I think if you simulate the whole thing, then that's what you get. But I think there is a way that you can click here, and then I think if you can't remember if you select one of these, or in my heading now, I think it's shift or control or middle click drag. Oh yeah, it's control right click, and you can just drag it, and then you can just sort of make it look how do you think it's gonna work. But this is only like I said, something that is just there temporary. If you don't want to see this one, you can just go here as well into the character, and in the OPD bodies, only the selected ones is the one you're gonna show. So you click here, you can only selected one, high simulated bodies, or just these are rigid bodies, so that's what it's called, bodies like that here. So you say none, and then even when you simulate it, you can you always show when you're simulating for some reason. But here, let's go back and then just put it only the selected ones, or bodies, and it says this is not necessary, guys. So we're gonna here, it's just wireframe. You can just have it like that. Or the better bodies solid, bodies simulating. In simulation you can do it in edit or in simulation as well, so that's fine. You're just gonna go through that in a minute later on. So now that you have the rigs, you can see you got the mesh, you got this skeleton, and this is the stuff that is automatically the physics asset that is automatically created when you import it. But like I said, this is something that is a temporary version, and it's, like I said, normally they don't work because Unreal Engine does the best it can when in terms of volumes or the geometry. So that's this for now. I'm gonna stop this now, and I'm gonna come out with the next tutorial where we can import all the animations and then so forth. So I'm gonna break it down in parts like this. So I think this is it for now, guys. I know now that I have in here, so I'm gonna close all these tabs. I got here now in my folder, my character, I got the materials, I got the rig, I got the physical asset, and I got the skeleton. Okay, that's it for now. So I'll come back with the next tutorial so we can start doing the actual important animations. All right, guys, thank you very much. All right, bye bye.